Hi, this is Kelly. Welcome to my channel. Today I have two creepy, elegant DIYs for you. DIY number one, the Mourning Bloom. Here I have a thrifted wooden tray, and I'm just going to paint this entire thing with my Waverly truffle. It's like a chocolate brown. And I did two coats. Now I've got just a regular old white candle, and I'm going to rub this candle wax all over everywhere but the bottom front and the bottom back. We're going to do all the inside sides and the outside of the sides and inside the handle and the top edge, all of that. And this little taper candle works well. You can get the pointy end down into the crevices. And then this is Waverly sandstone, and I'm going to do a coat of that. I'm just going to do one coat. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm just going to take my scraper and very gently scrape off some of the top layer of paint. The candle wax makes that easily come off easily. And if you scrape it down too low all the way to the wood, you can fix it. You can paint over it and fix that spot. It'll blend right in. Because that happened to me in a couple spots on this. But for the most part, if you're gentle, you're not going to have a problem. So now the skeleton, I got it cheap because it was broken. It was missing an arm. And the hand on the arm, it had the pinky fingers broken off. And I used that DIY number two. So I have to hide the broken pinky. So I took it apart and I just have the torso. And this came like this, black with the gold. So I didn't fool with it. I'm going to add a little more gold rub and buff to it later to make it show up better. But I like the look of it. I use a Jenga block to kind of balance it out. One end sat up higher than the other. And I'm just going to hot glue this to the inside. It fits in this tray so perfectly. And I'm just going to add some hot glue and get some glue under there if you do something like this, because the black Spanish moss is going to hide the excess glue. So I just stuffed a little bit of this Spanish moss up in the rib cage, and I'm just pulling it through so it looks like it's growing up through the ribs. And then we want to add some more to make sure, because that's not glued. So we want to glue some in there to be pushing up against the moss so it stays in place. I like how this skeleton looks. It doesn't look plastic. It looks really cool. And then I'm just going to take, there was holes where there were screws holding it together, and I covered up the those areas with some moss. And now I'm just going to glue it all around the entire back of it, and trying not to cover up too much of this spine. I want that showing. Then my little battery pack for my fairy lights, I put the self-adhesive Velcro, and I went ahead and put both pieces on there, and then you just press it on, peel the backing off and press it onto your project, and then hopefully it'll pop out there pretty easily so you can change the batteries and what have you. But it's placed where you can turn it on and off. And I'm just going to cover that up with some Spanish moss. And it's black, so it camouflages pretty easily. And I'm just going to go around the outside and tuck this under. And here and there, I did use some hot glue. And you can go ahead and glue those down. Just make sure it's on the wire and not on the bulb, and you'll be fine. And once I come all the way around, I come up and tuck it here and there in the moss in the rib cage. So I got these roses at Dollar General. I still can't believe how pretty they are. I've got a couple more bunches of them. I'm glad I grabbed them when I did. And they're all in place, and all I've got to do is glue them. I've already figured out where I want them, and I've just got to glue them. So I'm going to glue this one up next to the battery pack, and then the Spanish moss that's not really glued down, it'll help that stay put to camouflage the battery pack. And that's pretty much it. With the flowers, just glue them in place. And now my rub and buff I mentioned earlier, I just add a little more gold detail to make sure you can see the bones. And it's just amazing to me how pretty this is. It's like, it's kind of macabre, of course, but that's what I'm all about over here. But the gold and the roses, it turns out to be really pretty. And I just made a real easy bow. I just did a crisscross bow, like a awareness ribbon, and tied it with some twine. And that's ribbon, I get that from Hobby Lobby. They usually have it. It doesn't seem to be seasonal. It seems to me they usually have it. And then I'm just going to get a little piece of the Spanish moss and roll it up in a ball and hide the twine on the bow. And that's it. I put a little hanger on the back, and that's done. DIY number 2, Cloche of Shadows. So I made this riser for something else and ended up not working out for what I intended it for. So it's pink. But that is a little jar I got from Dollar General, and the top is a terracotta tray that goes under the terracotta pots, and I cemented those together and did a crackle paint. So, and the crackle underneath the paint will just give it some texture for the dry brushing later. And I paint that with the Castle Gray, and this is just some black, rich black chalk paint and a chip brush, and we're just going to dry brush some black all around. I got these glass cloches at the thrift store. I got 2 of them for like 50 cents a piece. And they're pretty nice. So we go all around and we do the bottom, of course. I got these little miniature coffins from Temu, and they have like a red detail. So I'm adding a little bit of the rub and buff to, and it's kind of red and gold showing through. And then this is my Deco Art metallic gold paint that I dry brushed on it. Give it a little glamour. And now I'm going to take 2 Jenga blocks and glue them together and paint them with the black chalk paint, so they're going to blend. We're going to have some Spanish moss action. And we glue them in place kind of towards the one side of the tray. And we needed that to kind of prop up our little coffin in there. See the pinky finger missing off of the hand? Yeah. So I put that in as a slant. And when you're doing this, you have to keep putting your cloche on to make sure it clears it. And if you have to, and with hot glue, at least you can pull it off and adjust it if you have to, which I did have to do once. Plus, I wanted to make sure that pinky finger was pointed down so I can bury that in the moss and you don't notice it's missing. So now I'm just going to take, I put a little bit of glue up under the hand, and I want to get a little bit of that moss under the hand first. And now we're going to glue some to the Jenga blocks to disguise the missing finger. There we go. And you can't even tell. And yeah, use some kind of popsicle stick or something. I don't know where I got that little stick, but don't burn your fingers. And basically we're just going to go all the way around and add the Spanish moss, and that's pretty much it for this. And I added a little light. You'll see in my reveal I do it with the light and without. It's so hard to get a good reveal with any lights, but with this cloche it was glaring. So anyway, the top of the cloche has that little handle, or whatever you want to call it, knob. So I tied a piece of this crocheted lace around there, and now I'm doing a crisscross awareness ribbon style bow. And get some twine or something and tie the bow first before you tie it to the I didn't do that, and it fought me. I was like, why didn't I tie some twine around this first? And I just tied that in a bow, added that bow. And I got this little spider that was just a little plastic black spider. And I just add a little glam to it. I'd already added some glitter to it before. And I just add some of that rub and buff because we want it to show. And just glue it right to our ribbon. And that's all there is to this. You can put anything you want in a cloche, and they're just so pretty. And I didn't glue the cloche down. I thought, well, I can take it off and add lights or not. So, and here's my reveal. I just love this. This is so pretty. There's a glare. There's a green dot. I can't figure out where that green dot keeps showing up every time I try to film something with lights. But I just love this. And here's my cloche, and that's without the light on, and there's still a glare. Thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I sure hope you enjoyed these DIYs. They're both very easy and so much fun to do. Come back and see me again. Don't forget to like and share and all the things. Bye.